Take a good look at those tomato plants in your garden right now. You've been babying them for months, watering every day, tying them to stakes, fighting hornworms and blight like you're in a war. And after 4 grueling months of hard labor, what happens? They die. You're left holding a few baskets of fruit and a pile of dead brown vines. And next spring, you get to go back to the garden center and pay good money for the privilege of doing this whole exhausting dance all over again. This isn't a food system. This is a subscription model designed to keep you dependent. But what if I told you there's a plant that breaks this cycle completely? Imagine a tomato that doesn't crawl on the ground, but grows into a 12-foot tree. A tree that doesn't die when harvest is over, but stands strong for 20 years. A tree that produces not 30 pounds of food, but 3,000 pounds over its lifetime from a single planting. It produces fresh fruit in the dead of winter when your garden is frozen and bare. And when you pick it, it stores for 6 months at room temperature. No canning, no freezing, no electricity required. This plant isn't a myth. In the 1940s, it was growing in thousands of American backyards. It was called the red gold of the Victory Garden. But then it vanished without a trace. It didn't disappear because it failed. It disappeared because it worked too well. It was erased because a plant that feeds you for 2 decades is a disaster for an industry that relies on you buying seeds every single spring. This is the story of the Tamarillo, the tree they want you to forget. But here's the tragedy. Today, even the few people who manage to find this tree often chop it down after the first harvest. Why? Because 90% of new growers simply don't know how to use it. They treat it like a regular tomato, take one bite of the bitter skin, and say it tastes terrible. They're throwing away a gold mine because of a simple misunderstanding. Stay until the end of this video, and I'll reveal the 3-second secret that unlocks its true potential. I'll show you how to bypass that bitter skin and turn the fruit inside into a legendary survival sauce. A sauce so stable it can sit on your shelf for half a year without spoiling. Once you know this trick, you'll never look at a regular tomato the same way again. Before we dive in, drop a comment and tell me, are you tired of replanting tomatoes every single year? Because I've got a solution that's going to change your entire approach to growing food. The math that changes everything. To understand why the industry buried this tree, you don't need a degree in botany. You just need a calculator. In the world of self-sufficient gardening, efficiency is everything. And the standard garden tomato is biologically inefficient. Let's look at the math. A standard tomato plant is an annual. It requires perfect soil, constant water, expensive fertilizers, and your time. If you're lucky, it gives you 30 pounds of fruit. Then the first frost hits, and it turns into black slime. To get food next year, you must buy new seeds, buy new fertilizer, and restart the entire labor clock from scratch. You're the servant. The plant is the master. The Tamarillo, or tree tomato, is a perennial. It's not a vine crawling on the ground. It's a semi-woody tree that grows fast, up to 10 feet tall in just 18 months. Once it's established, it produces up to 150 pounds of fruit per year. And here's the kicker. It does this for 20 years straight. Do the math with me. One standard tomato plant yields 30 pounds of food, then death. One Tamarillo tree yields 3,000 pounds of food over its lifespan. That's 100 times the yield for a fraction of a labor. When you plant a standard tomato, you're planting a snack for the summer. When you plant a Tamarillo, you're building an asset. You're planting a legacy that will feed your children and grandchildren. If you're loving these numbers, hit that subscribe button. We share practical food independent solutions every single week. The timing advantage. But the superiority isn't just about weight. It's about timing, and this is where it gets really interesting. Standard tomatoes flood you with fruit in August when everything else is ripening too. Zucchini, peppers, cucumbers, all coming in at once. Then they leave you starving in January with nothing fresh. The Tamarillo is different. In mild climates, it waits. It ripens its fruit late in the year, providing fresh vitamin C-rich red gold in the winter months when the rest of your garden is dead and brown. Fresh fruit in February. From a tree, while your neighbors are eating canned tomatoes from the store. So if this tree is the ultimate survival crop, why is it impossible to find in a modern garden center? Because in the eyes of the industrial food system, the Tamarillo has committed an unforgivable crime. It made the farmer too independent. Where did this tree come from? The Tamarillo is native to the Andes Mountains of South America. It was the lost crop of the Incas, a plant engineered by ancient farmers to thrive in poor soil and high altitudes. But its American story is even more interesting. In the 1920s and 30s, the Tamarillo wasn't a stranger. It was a star. Agricultural extension offices across the United States actively promoted it. During World War II, when food was scarce and victory gardens fed the nation, they embraced the Tamarillo. Why? Because it was a calorie machine that required almost zero inputs. It was the perfect Depression-era crop. One tree could feed a family and half the neighborhood. But after the war, everything changed. The 1950s brought the age of industrial agriculture and the suburban lawn. The goal was no longer self-sufficiency. The goal was consumerism. Chemical companies needed to sell fertilizers. Seed companies needed to sell annual packets every spring. A tree that lived for 20 years and needed no help was bad for business. Simultaneously, the tomato industry exploded with new hybrid varieties bred for shipping, not flavor. They were uniform, red, and predictable. The wild, tangy, long-lasting Tamarillo didn't fit the mold. It didn't look like a cartoon tomato. So nurseries stopped carrying it. Magazines stopped writing about it. And within one generation, a plant that was once a household name became a ghost. They traded a 20-year asset for a 4-month disposable product. But here's the irony. While they were busy erasing it from garden catalogs, they accidentally hid the Tamarillo's greatest superpower. A superpower that makes the modern tomato look like a joke. Drop a comment if you remember victory gardens or if your grandparents ever mentioned growing unusual plants during the war years. The superpower, storage. Let's talk about the fruit itself and why it changes everything. First, the taste. It's not the watery, sugary flavor of a supermarket tomato. It's complex. It's tangy, savory, rich in umami. It tastes like a tomato crossed with passion fruit and lime. It's a flavor for adults, not children bred on candy-sweet produce. But its true power lies in its armor. A regular tomato has thin skin. It bruises easily. Leave it on the counter for a week and it rots. It attracts fruit flies. It turns to mold. The Tamarillo is built like a tank. It has thick, bitter skin that acts as a natural vacuum seal. Insects hate it. Bacteria can't penetrate it. This means you can harvest a basket of Tamarillos in December, put them in a cardboard box in a cool room, and still be eating fresh salsa in April. Think about that. 6 months of shelf life. No canning, no freezing, no dehydration. Just raw, living fruit sitting on a shelf, waiting for you. In a grid-down scenario, or even just a long winter, this isn't just convenient. It's a lifeline. But as I warned you at the beginning, that thick skin is a double-edged sword. If you don't know the trick to remove it, you'll hate this fruit and throw away the tree. So how do you unlock the red gold inside the fortress? If you're getting value from this, smash that like button so more people can discover this forgotten tree. The 3-second secret. Here's the 3-second secret that transforms this fruit from bitter to brilliant. It's a technique chefs call blanching, but I call it unlocking. Boil a pot of water. Cut a tiny X on the bottom of each Tamarillo. Drop them into the boiling water for exactly 3 minutes. Pull them out and drop them immediately into ice water. Now watch the magic happen. The bitter, tough skin will slip off in your hands like a silk jacket in about 3 seconds. What you're left with is a sphere of pure, vibrant flesh. No bitterness. Just tangy, savory perfection. Mash this flesh with a little salt, chili, and onion, and you have a survival sauce that puts any store-bought salsa to shame. Or slice it raw onto toast with olive oil. Or blend it into soups for incredible depth. This is the secret that 90% of growers never learn. And it's why they chop down a tree that could feed them for 20 years. How to grow your legacy. Now, are you ready to plant your legacy? The Tamarillo is a subtropical tree suitable for USDA zones 9 through 11. If you live in a warm climate like Florida, Southern California, or the Gulf Coast, plant it in the ground and it will become a beautiful, productive tree. But if you live in the north, don't despair. This tree thrives in a large pot. Keep it outside in the summer, bring it indoors before the first frost, and it will act as a beautiful houseplant all winter while feeding you fresh fruit. You can grow this tree anywhere in the country with just a little planting. This is your chance to break the cycle. Stop renting your garden from the seed companies. Start building an asset that will feed you for the next 20 years. Plant a tree instead of vine. Plant independence instead of dependence. Your next step. If you're ready to grow food that lasts decades instead of months, hit that subscribe button. We're here at Home Garden Fix, sharing forgotten plants and practical food independence every single week. Tell me in the comments, tomato vine or tamarillo tree? Which one would you choose for long-term survival and food security? And if you know someone who's tired of the annual tomato grind, share this video with them. Knowledge isn't lost. It's simply waiting for you to remember. Thanks for watching Home Garden Fix. Now go plant a legacy. Happy gardening, my friend.